Most of us in this room are very lucky and blessed, for we are not one among the 4.4 crore children with special needs in India. We are not one of the 3/4 of this population between the age group of 5 and 9 who are out of educational institutions. We are not one among the 1/4 of children between the age group of 9 to 18 who are not part of any educational system. When I was born in 1974, I belonged to that 267 million children in the world who happen to have visual impairment. This was the picture when I was 6 months. And after this picture, I fell ill. And my mother took me to a hospital in Hyderabad. And the nurse said, something is wrong with her eyes. They are shaking. You need to go to a doctor. And then started this arduous journey for my parents to find the right doctor to cure my eyes, where I was diagnosed with congenital cataract in both eyes. I was having an age difference of 10 years with my sister, 7 years with my brother. Every month after my first 3 surgeries within the 2 years of my birth, my father and mother would drive down on their motorcycle to Secunderabad to show me to the best doctor in Secunderabad. And he would say, it's just a matter of God's will. God will take care of it. And so the bujhta hua diya in my parents' life kept alive. They would cry in the night and I would know that I would feel miserable. No parent should go through this, what my parents are going through. When we traveled to Chennai for one of our vacations, we discovered a new hospital. And at Shankar Netralaya, they declared, this child can't see in the left eye at all. And she has only 6 to 7 meters of vision in the right eye. You can imagine how desperate my parents would be to ask if a little bit of improvement can happen. And the doctor said, yes, it is possible, but you'll have to be available around the hospital for at least 3 months. And so my father, being a defense personnel, quit his job in Hyderabad, shifted the whole family to Neyveli Township, and the journey began again. When my mother sought admission for me in a regular school, the principal said, no, please do not ask admission in our school because she is blind. You need to find a school for the blind for her. And my mother would not take no for an answer. And she said, no, you please give her admission. Let her do what she wants to do in the class. And so the teachers propped me on the teacher's table right in front of the blackboard and still couldn't see a word on the blackboard and no one could help me. When we had to shift to Neyveli, my father discovered these regular means is now not going to get her admission. So he went to the best school in his uniform with his brilliant 3 stars. It was not my 7 out of 10 in the admission entrance test that got the admission. But it was the respect for the uniform of a defense personnel of this country that got me the admission. Literally just the backbencher, maybe the 44th rank holder or so. But you remember that bujhta hua diya was supposed to be kept alive with 1 more surgery? My parents decided to take that surgery in 1984. After the surgery, my vision little bit improved and I got these thick glasses for the first time. Whereas I should have been wearing these glasses from 2 years of my age. No one prescribed it to me. So my eyes became amblyopic and I lost so much vision. Now I thought life is going to become better. I am now in grade 4. And grade 6 came. The biggest catastrophe of my family came. On duty, my father had a massive heart attack. And even before my mother could reach, he had breathed his last. The responsibilities of my family with an elder sister ready to get married, and I and my mother fell on a young 19-year-old brother of mine who was just in first year's college. I remember that day, it was 1st May 1987. I was standing in my balcony and there were thunderbolts and rain because I always in my life, nature has spoken to me. I made 3 important decisions which have been the cornerstone of where I am today at 48. I decided not to be a financial responsibility to my brother. Second decision, educational achievements would open doors for me. And the third, divine realization that I am the center of the world and have circumference nowhere. And everything out in the universe is there for me to be empowered. From a 44th rank holder of a class of 50, I moved to being the top 10 and top 5. And so I was immediately recognized in the classroom. Any one of you have that one teacher who identifies the spark in you? And that one wonderful teacher came into my life in grade 7. She believed that I would be a state rank holder in English. So she suggested that I should have a scribe in grade 10. The scribe, the writer, had worse handwriting than I. So instead of a state rank, all I got was 144. I was school third, topping in geography. But this was not enough to get me that coveted maths, physics, chemistry, biology that I wanted in grade 11. I was told, listen, darling, you are blind. You should learn Braille. You should learn history, political science, or music. That is what all blind people do. My mother and I walked to every school in the vicinity of Neyveli Township, to Cuddalore, to Pondicherry, to find a school that would take me and give me MPCB. They wondered, why would a child with school top rank not be studying in that same school where that course is available? So they would make a trunk call to the school, and the principals and other teachers would gladly tell them not to take me because I am such a burdensome person. We came back to Neyveli again, and there came again a divine intervention through one teacher who said, we will get you admission into the top school of Neyveli Township without telling the principal that you have a vision problem, and we, the teachers, will manage you for 2 years. Don't bother. Your only responsibility is be out of sight of the principal. I did manage that. My brother had laid out a beautiful journey from me. He said, do BSc Computer Science, do company corporateship, do MBA, you'll be financially sorted. My mother said, you speak so well, so please become a lawyer. Nay, I was not happy. The universe conspires to show you what you really desire. And then came this beautiful bachelor's in rehabilitation science that was specifically focused to work for children with special needs. My brother was about to take me to board the bus at 5:45. And 5:25, there's a big row in the house with my mother and my brother fighting that you cannot take her and put her in a hostel. She doesn't know to wash clothes. She doesn't know to wash a dish. She cannot cook a bit for herself because that's the way I was brought up. The glass of water would come to me. I wouldn't have to go to the kitchen to learn cooking like any other girl. But time of reaching the bus saved me. And we went, and instead of a 3-year course, we had to sign up for a 5-year course. It taught me to be jack of all trades and master of none. They gave me the full plethora of what it takes to be a rehabilitation professional, specializing in 3 disabilities those days. And it was Asia's single unique course. My 3rd year, I had my job in hand. I moved to Coimbatore and Chennai and to Delhi, and every place I was in regional director, program officer, and I was heading a department of rehabilitation science in Delhi. What comes next? Story has to go on. You get married, right? Had a beautiful child. The silly me didn't recognize that my marriage was filled with domestic violence. I was beaten up. I was going to office with lips bruised, cheeks having marks everywhere in my body. And when my colleagues, because I was working in an eye hospital, the doctors know to read, right? What is this? I would cover up saying I fell down the stairs. I hit myself here. Everyone could see that my marriage was in disaster except me, because I wanted to hold this phenomenon of a woman who chose to marry the person whom she likes, of course, cannot let her marriage break. It was in 2005 January, with a 5-month-old baby, decided to walk out of the house and filed an FIR in the police station for domestic violence. They said, how can a blind man beat a woman? How can we file an FIR against a visually impaired person? Not done. We can't file a complaint against a visually impaired person. But I went to the ACP, I went to the cell day after day with having to do my workload, and mind you, a 5, 6, 7, 8-month-old baby. No one would listen. On 4th January 2005, the domestic violence was so bad. My mother, who was there, could only save my child. Yet he happened to have a collarbone fracture. I was back again having to do work because I'm a single parent now, supporting 2 individuals, my mother and my son. I had no time to think for myself. Well, what would you do when you are in agony? You would plunge yourself into work. I was sliding down. My financial disaster began. I was a stock market person then, beside holding the job. I would short the Nifty, left, right, center, venture into FNO, and then came the subprime. And they say, futures and options is an instrument of mass destruction. And so it was in my life. January 2010, I didn't have 40 rupees to buy a 25 rupee milk for my son and a 15 rupee rickshaw to go to my office. Deep down in ashes, I chose to move to Mumbai, start life afresh. I made choices which no woman would make. I was wanting to have stability in life. The only reason why I was alive then were two. This beautiful son of mine, who was my bundle of joy, and the vision to transmute my pain into work that can be of contribution to others. I chose to step into Kangaroo Kids Education Limited in 2015 because they offered me to lead inclusive education. That was the complete alignment of my soul's purpose and my thirst for fulfillment. From 4 K-12 schools and 3 pre-K schools, today in 2023, I lead 24 K-12 schools across the country and 1,400 preschools. The next pandemic is mental health, and I was given beautiful responsibility of intervening during the pandemic itself for the 45,000 kids in our ambit. Today, Lighthouse Learning touches the lives of 1.75 lakh children every day, and this organization aspires to touch 10 million children's life in the next 5 years. Make life easier, better, intervened with professionals such as counselors and special educators, for whom I am the technical support and the mentor across all these schools, could happen. I'm not only a vision rehabilitation expert, few in the country, we can just count, we are 10 of us, a quality assurance professional, a ISO 9000 2015 lead auditor, a healer, a shamanic practitioner, a crystal therapy person who can also make semi precious jewelry, inclusive education expert, a mental health professional, a person who knows many modalities of healing, a mentor to my beautiful team of 70 professionals who work across the country in the schools, a writer, an author. The reason why I'm sharing this is to say, once in 2009, one of my colleagues said, "You are a person who is able to rise and see the big picture." I'm happy to say I can vision a better world for our children, for mental health, and making mental health a priority in all our schools today. Yes, I can have a beautiful vision and have the audacity to implement by being an influencer to the top management for the cause that I believe. I have these 5 mantras that have led me to where I am. And I invite all of you as an idea to think. It's honesty, authenticity, intrinsic motivation, and the ability to hold integrity in stressful times, and the L, which stands for love and being limitless. I think the purpose of me enumerating the 17 parallel career paths that I hold is just to demonstrate that if we are aligned to our soul purpose, draw upon the inner strength, one can choose to live a life that is limitless, grow beyond one's own adversities, have a big picture to contribute back to the community, the society, and the nation. Remember, the infinity is filled with grace, protection. I have been protected left, right, center by the infinite grace and the willingness to be a channel. I am just a humble conduit for the doing when I attune myself to the intuition and the inspiration that flows. And there's much to do before I sleep, before I sleep.